imagination. I'm so glad you came back to continue our book, The Wind and the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. And we are on chapter 2. And chapter 2 is called The Open Road. One bright summer morning, Rat sat on the riverbank, singing a song that he had just composed. He was proud of it and paid more attention to it than to Mole. He had spent the whole morning swimming with his friends, the ducks, and his song was about them. "I don't think I like that song, Rat," Mole said cautiously. Mole was very honest. "The ducks don't either," replied Rat with a chuckle. "Would you please do me a favor, Ratty?" Mole asked suddenly. "Will you please take me to call on Mr. Toad? I have heard so much about him, and I do so want to meet him." "Certainly," said the good-natured Rat, jumping to his feet. "We'll paddle up there immediately. Any time is a good time to call on Toad. He's always glad to see you and always sorry when you leave." "He must be very nice," remarked Mole. He got into the boat and took the oars. Rat settled himself comfortably in the stern. "He is indeed," Rat answered. "He is quite good-natured and very affectionate. It's true that he is a bit muddled, and at times he can be rather conceited. But Toady also has some great qualities. I just wish he were not so proud of them." Just then, a dignified old house of red brick with a well-kept lawn came into view. "There's Toad Hall," Rat said. "The stables are to the right, and the banquet hall is straight ahead. Toad is rather rich, and this is one of the best houses around, but we'd never admit that to Toad." They passed the large boathouse. They saw many lovely boats, but none of them were in the water. The place was deserted and seemed to have been unused for quite some time. "I see that Toad has grown weary of boating," observed Rat. "I wonder what new fad he has taken up. I am sure that we will hear about it soon enough." They went ashore and strolled across the lawn in search of Toad. They found him resting in a wicker garden chair, a big map in front of him which he was studying closely. "Hooray!" he cried, jumping up to greet his visitors. He took Rat's paw and then Mole's paw without being introduced to him. "I was just about to send for you, Ratty," Toad said. "What can I get for you fellows? Come inside and have something." "Let's sit quietly for a bit, Toady," Rat said. Rat threw himself into an easy chair, while Mole took the chair next to him and complimented Toad on his delightful home. "It's the finest house on the river," Toad boasted, "or anywhere else for that matter." Rat nudged Mole. Toad saw him do it and blushed. An awkward moment of silence followed. Then Toad burst out laughing. "All right, Ratty," he said. "It's my way, you know. Now, let's get to business. I need your help." "I suppose you want me to coach you in your rowing," Rat said. "Oh, pooh," Toad said. "Rowing is a childish amusement. No, I've discovered the only hobby worth having. Follow me, dear Ratty, and your friend also, to the stable yard. You shall see what I am talking about." Rat followed, frowning. Parked outside the coach house stood a gypsy caravan, painted yellow with green and red wheels. "Now there's real life embodied in that little cart," Toad exclaimed. "Here today and off tomorrow. The open road, the dusty highway, towns and cities. The whole world is before you, and the horizon always changes. This is the finest cart ever built, with no exceptions. Come inside and have a look." Mole was very excited and eagerly followed Toad into the caravan. Rat stayed outside the cart and snorted as he thrust his hands into his pockets. Inside the cart, Mole saw little sleeping bunks, a table that folded up against the wall, a stove, shelves, a bird in a cage, pots, pans, jugs, and more. It looked indeed very compact and comfortable. "It has everything that you could possibly want," said the triumphant Toad. "As we start our journey this afternoon, you'll find that nothing has been left out." "I beg your pardon," Rat said, "but did I hear you say something about we and start and this afternoon?" "Come now, dear old Ratty," Toad said imploringly. "You simply must come. I can't manage without you, so consider it settled. You can't possibly stick to your dull old river all of your life and just live in a hole in a boat. I'll show you the world." "I'm not coming, and that's final," said Rat. "I'm going to stick to my old river and live in a hole and a boat. Furthermore, Mole's going to do as I do. Aren't you, Mole?" "Of course," said the loyal Mole. "I'll always stand by you, Rat. But it does sound as though it might be fun." Poor Mole. The adventurous life was new and thrilling to him, and this trip sounded tempting. Rat knew what Mole was thinking. He hated to disappoint people, and he would do almost anything to please Mole. His opinion began to change. Toad watched both of them closely. "Let's discuss it over lunch," Toad suggested. "We don't have to decide in a hurry. Of course, I don't care either way." I don't think he's telling the truth, do you? "I just want to make you fine fellows happy." Lunch was excellent. While they ate, Toad tried to tempt Mole. He described the trip they would take and the joys of the open road. Mole could hardly sit still, he was so excited. Before long, the trip was agreed upon. Rat could not bear to disappoint his friends, so he decided to go along. The triumphant Toad asked his friends to fetch his old gray horse. The poor horse, without even being asked, had been chosen by Toad to do the dustiest job on this dusty expedition. After Toad loaded the cart with even more cargo and the horse was harnessed, they set off. It was a golden afternoon. Thick orchards lined both sides of the road. Birds whistled to them happily, and passers-by waved and wished them good day. After they had traveled many miles from home, the tired but happy companions stopped in a meadow. They let the horse graze and ate their dinner in the grass beside the cart. Toad boasted about all he was going to do in the days to come. Before they knew it, the sky shone with stars and a yellow moon appeared from out of nowhere. When they had climbed into their bunks, Toad said, "Isn't this the life? Stop talking about your old river." "I never talk about my river," replied the patient Rat. "But I think about it all the time," he added in a lower voice. Mole felt sorry for his friend. "Do you want to run back to our dear old hole in the river?" he asked. "I'll do whatever you like, Ratty." "Thank you, but we'll stick it out," whispered Rat. "Toad wouldn't be safe on his own. The trip won't last long. His fads never do." The end of Toad's fascination with the cart was nearer than Rat suspected. Toad slept so soundly that no amount of shaking could get him out of bed in the morning. So Mole and Rat took care of the morning duties. Rat fed the horse and cleaned up the last night's mess, while Mole walked to the nearest village, which was very far off, to get some milk and eggs. All of the work was already done by the time Toad woke up. As they rode along the road, Mole sat up front talking to the horse. Rat and Toad enjoyed the scenery. Then they heard a faint hum in the distance. Glancing back, they saw a small cloud of dust speeding toward them. A loud popping sound came from the dust cloud. In an instant, a blast of wind forced them to jump into the nearest ditch. It was a motor car. The driver clung tightly to the wheel. Just as fast as it had come upon them, it disappeared in the distance ahead of them, leaving the sound of poop poop trailing behind. The old horse reared and drove the cart backward into the ditch at the side of the road. With an awful crash, the cart, their pride and joy, lay on its side, destroyed. Rat jumped up and down in the road. "You scoundrels!" he shouted, shaking both fists. "You road hogs! I'll report you to the police!" Toad sat down in the middle of the dusty road and stared in the direction of the disappearing car. At times he faintly murmured, "Boop, boop." Mole calmed the horse. When he went to inspect the cart, he found the window smashed and a wheel missing. Rat tried to help him, but they were not strong enough to turn the cart upright. "Toad!" they cried. "Come and lend a hand!" Toad never answered or moved from his spot in the road. They went to check on him and found him in a trance, a happy smile on his face. "What a glorious sight!" Toad said. "Poetry in motion! That is the only way to travel. And to think I never knew." "What should we do with him?" Mole asked. "There is really nothing we can do," replied Rat firmly. "He is possessed by his new craze." "Let's see what we can do about the cart." But the cart would travel no longer. Rat grabbed the bird cage and the horse's reins. "Let's go," he said grimly to Mole. "It's 6 miles to the nearest town, and we'll have to walk." "What about Toad?" asked Mole as they set off. "Oh, bother Toad," Rat said angrily. They had not traveled far when they heard Toad running up to them. He thrust a paw through each of their elbows. He was out of breath. "As soon as we get to town, you must report that car to the police," Rat instructed Toad. "Mole and I will go to an inn and find comfortable lodgings." "Police report," murmured Toad dreamily. "I would never complain about that beautiful car. Oh, Ratty, I'm so grateful to you for coming on this trip. If we hadn't come, I might never have seen that car." "He's quite hopeless," Rat said to Mole. "I give up. When we get to town, we'll catch a train that will take us back to the riverbank tonight." When they reached the town, they left the horse at an inn stable and hopped on a train that left them very near Toad Hall. They escorted Toad to his door and told his housekeeper to feed him and put him to bed. Then they rowed their little boat down the river toward home. The next evening, Mole was sitting on the bank fishing when Rat came by. "Heard the news?" he asked, shaking his head. "Toad has ordered a large and expensive motor car." And that's the end of chapter 2. What do you think? I hope you're liking this story too. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time a new video has been posted. And be sure to share with all of your friends. Bye-bye for now.